Well, good morning, folks. Welcome back to another pretty beautiful morning here on the farm. It's a little bit overcast, and we're thankful for that today because we are going fencing. Chickens ready to get fed. So after chores, that's what we're gonna do. Better feed the chickens first, then we'll go fencing. So the sheep will be in just as much demand as these chickens here right away. So we move the sheep down to the dugout pasture, and they have another little like pie-shaped piece off the dugout, and they usually have that licked up by around mid to late October. It's the first week of July and they're out of grass. Whew. We got our work cut out for us. So we just captured one of these rare moments. Mittens, our cat, had kittens a few weeks back. And I don't know if you see that crawling under there. There's a little wee kitty. They've been living underneath this shed. And it's pretty hard to actually get them out. And we were trying to catch them and then put them in the shop, and then maybe we could tame them up a little bit. But they're still very determined to live under there, which is fine because Ranger, our young dog, would probably try and play with him, and I don't think he really knows when to stop. Anyways, we'll leave them for the day. Maybe we'll come back later today and see if we can catch one and give a little tickle on the chin. So we got our first roll of sheep fencing over in the side-by-side over there. I'm just here with the yellow tractor. Got the battery on a trickle charge, just in case later on today. I mean, this is like a 50-year-old tractor, right? So if there's any mechanical issues later on today, I don't want something as simple as a battery to be one of them. So what we're gonna end up doing here is splitting off the grader and putting on the post pounder. And the other thing, the beautiful thing about this Massey tractor, it's got these hooks that are welded on the bucket. You can hook a chain onto here and pluck an old fence post out pretty easily. So we've got to actually pull the old fence line, move it over about 10-12 feet, and then reinstall it. And Kent from Tambaroora Station sent me a couple messages today, gave me some hot tips and tricks about how to build a good solid fence, and said like the secret is in the corner braces. It really is. And I couldn't agree more with him. He sent me some YouTube videos. I'll have to watch it later today because it's already almost 9 o'clock here in the morning. The other piece of advice I would have is a good pair of gloves. Now, gloves can be expensive. Absolutely, I'll give you that. But you're gonna look for the best pair of gloves that you can afford to have ruined by the end of the day, because when you're pulling down a barbed wire fence, it's gonna be pretty tough on even a good pair of gloves. But you're gonna wanna make sure your hands are protected, because otherwise you're gonna have a pretty bad couple of days while you heal up. Well, I'm down here in the pasture to be. We call this the big pie-shaped piece, actually. And as you can see, the grass is looking pretty rich and lush. We did actually feed a bale in here actually in the spring when bulls were in here, but everywhere else is looking really lush. I've started rolling out the wire. Looks like we're about halfway, but we're not exactly halfway one way or the other, but that's fine. So I'm thinking I'm going to save the other 2 rolls to go east and west in the neighbor's place. I want to make sure that fence is really, really good. And then if I don't have just quite enough, I do have some more of the 3-foot stuff that we can use to finish off the last little leg as we get down over there. And honestly, when it comes to doing this is the hardest part. Physically, this is the hardest part, is just rolling this out on your hands and knees or kicking it forward and keeping it down here. After that, it's just a matter of using just a wire jack or a fence tightener. And it's pretty doggone simple, actually. Well, here we are beginning our install. So we've strung out our 330 feet. And then what I do is I take the end of the wire here like this, and I trim off the first 3 rows of these uprights. So it gives me something to wrap around and then tie my knots. And so we'll do that all the way up the fence until we've got everything tied up. And then I'm looking at this fence line and I'm thinking, because I had the 0 turn in here last night and I mowed as close as I could to the fence, but there's still quite a bit of growth right around the posts. So I may end up having to run up to the house and grab a weed whacker and just clean up as close to the post as I possibly can, just so that I'm not having to fart around. We'll see. I'll do a few just by hand. I'll just pull some grass. And if I can just pull the grass and it comes out nice and easy, then I'll just carry on as we go. But I don't want it to be too labor intensive, because if it's just easier to run up there and fire up the weed whacker and take 10 minutes to do this, well, then maybe that's the right thing to do. We'll see how she goes here. Anyways, essentially, yeah, this knot, you just basically come around and then just loop it around and then you can just hook the end of it back in one of the next wires along the next upcomer there. Just hook it right there, and then it can't come untied. And you can see all the way down we do the same thing. So it's probably a good thing I'm not out here doing how-to videos, but we did get all our posts moved over and repounded, and so that project is half done now. I gotta come back another day and string the rest of the wire. I didn't get the 2 rows or 2 spools of wire strung that I wanted. I just got the one, but we did get every fence post pounded. So the movement of the wire is going to be the easy part, I should say. Now Ranger, our young blue heeler, is in the penalty box. Yes, came out today and found out he had killed one of our laying hens. And not in a nice way either. He just like chewed the head right off of it. And he knew he was in trouble. He was hiding out. And yeah, he may or may not have got beat with a dead chicken. But anyways, he's gonna stay in the penalty box overnight because he clearly can't be trusted. Anyways, earlier today I did talk a little bit about rare footage capturing the kittens. Well, in fact, we actually did capture the kittens. Yes, we crawled underneath the shed and fished them out. So they're in the shop here now, inside this water trough in a box. So there's all the little kitty cats, cute as can be. So we can give them lots and lots of snuggles, and then hopefully they are a little bit tamer and easier to work with, and not just completely feral wild cats. Now the other day I talked about the fact that we were in not only a drought, but we're also working through a heat wave. And so if you look at our grass, we're just seeing really poor grass growth and absolutely zero grass recovery after it's been eaten because we're just not getting any rainfall. And it's just so hot out that the grass just doesn't stand a chance to succeed. So we made some aggressive moves with the chicken tractors, and we basically took them out of the rows and we just stopped moving them. They provide a place of shade, and we've got a big poultry netting area all the way around here where the birds can just pretty much just free range. Now that potentially obviously slows down their growth because they're getting a lot more exercise in a day than what they would. That's fine. But herein lies the problem, is that if we're not, even if we're in a huge area like this, if we're not getting grass recovery, well, eventually we're gonna need a bigger and a bigger and a bigger pen for them to roam around in. So that's not gonna work. We need to get some grass growing here. So there's a few areas during the heat wave where we had just sprinklers going, and the grass is actually lushed up quite nicely there. So I think that's what I'm gonna do here tonight, is just run a hose over from the house into this big pen, and I'm just gonna broadcast a nice wide area over here overnight and give it a good soaking rain. Give it 2-3 days, you know, I'm sure it'll start to look a lot nicer than it does now, I hope. So why is it so important for us to water this grass and, you know, get everything lush and green again, as opposed to just have the chickens kind of clear out all the dry scrubby grass? Well, pretty easy. Good food makes good food. So we got to put nutrient dense feed into these chickens, and there's no purer form of sunshine than good lush grass for the chickens to ingest, to do amazing things for pasture poultry, way more than any of this commercial feed or even, you know, the locally grown grains that we give them. That's a supplement, right? The staple of the diet is the grass. And so that's why, so we got the sprinkler rigged up here now. It's gonna run all night long, and hopefully we can make some magic happen. These birds have been in this kind of enclosure here for a few days, so I'm thinking it's time for a move. But what we've actually been doing is just kind of ferrying 1, maybe 2 a day over to that larger enclosure. And then I think we're just gonna retire this one, slide these chicken tractors up and out of the way, and they can be done for the season. And everybody can just be free range, but still, you know, within an enclosure. I mean, they're not gonna go any further than they want to go, but the netting is really just there to keep. Well, I mean, look at Ranger today. He killed a laying hen. You think he's gonna have any trouble with one of these guys? They wouldn't stand a chance. So really, that's what that poultry net. It's not even poultry netting. It's actually sheep netting. That's really what it's there for, is to keep the dog and any other potential predators out of that area. So anyway, I'd say that just about draws chores to a conclusion. So I'm gonna go inside and fix up a cup of tea. So I'll let you go for now. I hope you have a fantastic evening, and we'll see you tomorrow.